welcome to World Superbikes here at Donington. It's race 1 of the weekend, and when the screen comes up, do not worry, it is a blank screen, but it will change at the beginning of the race. It will start in about 5 minutes time, according to the circuit screen I am seeing right now. Let's go to your commentators now.
Win moves him one ahead of Tom Sykes' record on this track, because it would be Toprak's 10th. At the moment, he's level with the Grinner on 9. Toprak is on pole position here from Nicolo Buliga, but Buliga leads the championship by 9 points. Alex Lowe's is in 3rd position on row 1. Jonathan Ray has done a fantastic job to put the Yamaha up in 4th place on the grid with an Aldo Drudy design, a Joey Dunlop crash helmet design to mark the 25th anniversary of Joey's passing in the year 2000. So Toprak seeking his 10th win here at Donington. As I say, he shares the record with Sykes, and Sykes had 5 consecutive doubles and then another one all the way through from 2013 to 2017, and you saw Phil Marin there just getting the reading of the track temperature. Now the official reading is 42 degrees, but I can tell you it will be more than that. There's a large crowd watches on here in the East Midlands. A splendid venue. Started racing here on Whit Monday 1931 as we move across the front row of the grid here ahead of race 1 of 3 this weekend. There'll be 2 tomorrow, 1 today. 23 laps then are ahead of us. Toprak Razgatlioglu on the pole, but this is going to be close because the track temperatures are very, very high, and there's going to be an assortment of different tyres used in this race as well. Toprak then on pole as he begins his Donington swan song, because he races at Silverstone next year in MotoGP. Buliga and Alex Lowe's are alongside him, and Jonathan Ray, by far his best qualifying result of the season so far, in 4th place. 6 British riders on the grid. Alex Lowe's 3rd, Jonathan Ray 4th, Sam Lowe's 5th, Ryan Vickers improves his qualifying best by 9 to stick the Moto Corsa Ducati, a splendid 7th on the grid, and he is a former BSB winner here as well. Scott Redding 17th, fresh from his BSB outing at Knockhill in Scotland last weekend, and Tommy Bridewell on the factory Honda, 1 of 3 this weekend, is 20th. We send our best wishes to Taz McKenzie. He's not racing this weekend. He's parted company with the MIE Honda team. Their riders here are Tito Rabat and Ivo Lopez. They line up at the back in 23rd and 24th places. There's the Joey Dunlop crash helmet design for Jonathan Ray. 26 times Joey won the Isle of Man TT. Of course, Michael now has beaten it with 33, but it's so special to see a Joey Dunlop crash helmet design here, because on the Honda RC30 he was on the podium on the very first weekend for World Superbike back in 1988. James Towsend and Greg Haynes are with you. James Towsend is now back in the commentary box. He's just been down on the grid to chat with the riders. Now, tyre choice is critical. We have 2 available for this race, James. The SC0 and the softer option with the red markings is the SCX. What have we got?
It's 1 of each for the top 2 of the championship. That's what's interesting about it. We've got Toprak on an SCX, the softer compound, and we've got Buliga on the SC0. Well, you might think that the soft tyre will wear out quicker, but the softer tyre has more grip, so it wheel spins less, so the temperature can be less than the harder compound and could last better in full race distance. But we are about to see. But that is interesting, and there's a confirmation. 37 years ago, the inaugural race of World Superbikes, Davide Todozzi was the victor. And can a Motor be on the podium once again here at Donington Park?
Well, it certainly was a month ago at our last round, wasn't it? Round 6 of 12, and that was Misano, and it was their first podium since the late, great Anthony Gobert in the rain in Australia in the Millennium season, on board with Buliga. Now with Toprak, 9 points between the 2 of them. First on the grid for Toprak, 2nd for Buliga. Petrucci best of the rest ahead of Alvaro Bautista. Bautista has struggled here, only 10th. Montella needs to take a long lap penalty in this race for crashing into Remy Gardner at Misano last time out. So Montella will start 8th, but clearly will finish further back. Here we go then, one of the most special moments on the British motorsport calendar. It's World Superbikes at Donington Park in Leicestershire. 23 laps ahead of us. Look how aggressive Jonathan Rea looks from fourth on the grid. Release the clutch and away we go, and Jonathan shoots between the middle of Buliger and Toprak, and it's the Joey Dunlop helmet going to lead it second into Redgate. What a start! Oh!
Sam Alonso is down in the first corner, and Yari Montella goes into the back of him, and Alvaro Bautista's down.
Would you believe it? Chaos at turn one here, as we had in the Superpole race at Misano. And look at Andrea Locatelli. He goes up the inside of Buliger. The two Italians. Well, fellow Italians of Buliger are not liking him at the moment, because Bassani hit him last time at Misano and almost contact there with Locatelli. Toprak leads. Jonathan Rea's in second place, and there goes Alex Lowe's.
No, he isn't, because Alex Lowe's goes underneath him in McLean's corner. What a start it is, but what a shame it is for Sam Montella and Bautista at Redgate.
Three Ducatis down at the first corner. Mark VDS, Barney and Aruba, and the crash helmet visor is off for Yari Montella. Let's hope everybody's okay. That was Sam and Montella walking away. We'll hope Bautista's all right. Are they going to get through cleanly through the foggy S's on the opening lap? And Alex Lowe's now is attacking. Toprak Razgatlioglu had a great double here in BSB en route to the title. Oh, that was close. And look at Jonathan Rea.
It's a smarter start. Melbourne loop. Alex Lowe's just keeping his powder dry slightly, but he nearly kissed the back wheel of Toprak Razgatlioglu, and here it is. The Joey Dunlop replica in all its glory at Goddard's comes out of it. It was Joey Dunlop finishing third 37 years ago, and it's third place currently for Jonathan.
Yellow flags are out down at Redgate. The stewards are investigating the incident, but yellow flags are being shown. There's the bikes being taken away. Let's hope everybody's all right. The Race Safe Orange Army do a phenomenal job here at Donington, and that's Bautista. He rejoined, but he's now stopped at the Craner curves, and once again the double world champion of 22 and 23 is out of the race.
Alex.
There goes Alex Lowe's on top rack. Alex Lowe's on the BMotor. We've got a BMotor leading just as we had 37 years ago.
Can you believe it? Davide Tedossi will be smiling from ear to ear in the Saxon ring, I'm sure, because this is really historic, but it does go from bad to worse for Alvaro Bautista.
And look at the Patamaxis Yamahas here in third and fourth positions. Buliger, championship leader, being careful in fifth place. Yellow flags are in. This is what brought them out, though.
Just having a look, and it looked like Yari Montella got it wrong and then collected Sam Lowe's, and Alvaro Bautista had nowhere to go. Here we go again. There it is. Yari Montella. Yes, Yari Montella clips the back wheel of Sam Lowe's, and Alvaro didn't have anywhere to go, and all three Ducatis on the floor.
For the umpteenth time, Bautista struggles to qualify well and gets caught up in a first corner collision. How many times have we said that? It happened at Moss earlier in the year. It happened at Moss last year. It's happened at Donington this season. Out of Goddard's, the end of lap 2. Are we going to see Alex Lowe's winning on a BMotor as we ride with Toprak Razgatlioglu, our Donington swan song here this weekend? Look how he closes in. But even Toprak's made a mistake under braking there.
Certainly has, and he's got it back onto the track, but look at the gap that Alex Lowe's has now on Toprak. He's had a problem with the engine brake all weekend long as Toprak on the BMW, and he got it all wrong into there, and it looks like Locatelli is having a look at his teammate at the old hairpin, and Locatelli nudges Jonathan wide.
Oh, both with yellow helmets, of course, in this race. Nicola Budiger's got a grandstand view of this, and right behind Budiger is Petrucci, up into McLean's. I thought Jonathan was going to attack there. Then it's Tommy Aegerter in 7th place on the GRT Yamaha. Van der Mark 8th on the BMW. Redding's up to 9th. Garrett Gerloff, who's having a much better weekend, is in 10th position. He's found the mid-corner speed he's been lacking for the season so far. Well, Jonathan said he wanted to improve on trail braking, and he's certainly done that, as Buliger now on a more powerful bike lines up the Yamaha. Through goes the Ducati, and that's the championship leader up into 4th place.
If it's the checkered flag comes out now, Greg, they are on equal points, but I think that overtake was just pre that. Yes, it is. It's 2 points now with that overtake on Jonathan Rea, but Nicola Buliger...
Oh, Redding and Van der Mark have just touched. Sorry, James.
Nicola Buliger has to get in front of the next Yamaha in front, Andrea Locatelli, to have any chance of catching Alex Lowe's and Toprak, because they are on electric pace.
Did Redding get through? He did. So Redding dived up the inside of Van der Mark into the Melbourne loop. We're back on board now, and what a shot this is. This is on board with Danilo Petrucci's Farley Spark Ducati. Dead ahead of us is Jonathan Rea. Ahead of Rea is Buliger. Ahead of Buliger is Locatelli. And further down the hill, you can see Toprak chasing Alex Lowe's. What a shot this is from Petrucci's bike.
Alex Lowe's, that's a huge crash at Craner.
A massive, massive incident down the world-famous Craner curves. Real concern for Perariba, Florian Marino, Dave Rocky Ryan there at BMotor. Let's just hope he's okay, because you do not want to crash at the Craner curves here at Donington Park. So, Toprak leads now.
What a shame for the Lincolnshire lad. He was absolutely flying on that BMotor. We'll have a replay, I am sure, and I'll be able to tell you if he lost the front. It usually is the front, but that is a fast crash down there, and you can see the whole of the front end is removed from the BMotor. Left, right here, and then you go left into this dip, and the front just washes out on him. And I tell you what, it was a good job that bike tumbled. Look at the front end exit the motorcycle, and I'm very, very happy to see Alex walking away from that one.
Yes, a total write-off for that bike, so they'll have to switch to the second bike, the only other one available for Sunday. Yellow flags then obviously out down at the Craners. Jonathan Ray, I can tell you while we were watching the replay, has just repassed his teammate Andrea Locatelli. There they are in the background coming into vision. So Boonigan now is second, Jonathan Ray is third, and are we going to see Jonathan for the first time in a long race, a full race, take a podium on a Yamaha R1? And is that Egerter going through? Yeah, he's ahead of Scott Redding there. Egerter is in 6th place, Redding up to 7th. Everybody now, of course, has jumped up one following the very, very unfortunate departure there of Alex Lowe's. Ryan Vickers did not make a great start. He's down in 10th place, but he did start 7th on the grid. But I imagine he got caught up in that first corner incident, perhaps had to take evasive action. So I suggest it wasn't Ryan's fault, and he just had to avoid all of that chaos when Montella, Sam Lowe's and Bautista had that collision at Redgate.
Portimao 2023. You have to go back before you see Jonathan Ray in a full race on the podium. That is how long it's been for Jonathan. It's been a long time. We know they have the Super Pole race here on the podium, but this will be a massive, massive confidence boost. He's had an awful start to the season with that break on his foot, and what a comeback this will be.
Yes, he had that terrible, terrible crash so early on, didn't he, in the Phillip Island test just before the campaign got underway. There's Redding having a look at Domi Agata. That's the Bonovo Ducati against the GRT Yamaha. Has Scott got some more confidence? There's another incident now at the Foggy Essie, so somebody's hit trouble further back in the pack. I think it might be one of the MIE Hondas. It is. It's Tito Rabat, as you can see. So he's out of the race, and that's more damage to a motorcycle then here at Donington this afternoon. That's 5 riders out, 19 remain.
Remember, Nicola Bulliger has the harder compound tyre on. He was 2/10 slower than Toprak on that lap. But there is a long, long way to go in this race, and it's going to be fascinating because now Toprak hasn't got the BMotor of Alex Lowe's in front of him, pushing him maybe a bit too much. Is Toprak going to be able to look after that rear tyre a bit more as Locatelli goes back underneath Jonathan at the old hairpin again?
Yeah, like you say, again, because that's the second time he's done that in this race. The 28-year-old from Alzano Lombardo in Italy, Jonathan Ray, number 65, right behind him. The 38-year-old from Balaclare in Northern Ireland, and Tommy Bridewell makes it 6 retirements, and I believe that's at the bottom of the old hairpin. It is.
Yeah, I've lost the front as well. That is a fast crash down there, and there is not going to be much left of that Honda Fireblade with the way it was tumbling through the gravel.
Yellow flags out all over the track at the moment, so Locatelli back up into that 3rd place. There's Jonathan Ray, behind Jonathan Ray is Petrucci, and Scott Redding is flying. Remember, he was quick here last year as well when he qualified on the front row in a Bonovo BMW, but with a Bonovo Ducati, he's right on the back of Petrucci. Agata's in there, Vandermark, Gerloff on the green bike in the background, and Ryan Vickers is still in 10th place. Well, we haven't seen this for a while, have we? 2 factory Yamahas, both fighting for a podium finish.
Fascinating, isn't it? Who would have thought that the battle for 3rd place was going to be between the 2 factory Yamahas? And Caniper there, taking a look upon the European boss now, is being promoted. He's retired from the endurance racing as Nicolo Canipe into that role. And he is making a difference, is he? Because the Yamahas really struggled at the beginning of this season. Locatelli stayed consistent inside the top 6, but he's not really been fighting for consistent podiums in the long races.
Yes, Caniper in that managerial role here in World Superbikes, and he also oversees the Yamaha factory project in the World Endurance Championship. And don't forget, the 46th running of the Suzuka 8 Hours is coming up here on TNT Sports and Discovery Plus at the start of August. No less than 55 teams will line up for that race, and several of the riders from this paddock and MotoGP on the grid. A splendid lineup for Suzuka in 2025 as we now ride again with Danilo Petrucci. Locatelli's lap time look was 6/10 quicker than Jonathan Rea last time round, a couple of tenths up on Danilo Petrucci. Watch the different lines through here. There's Locker, Rea, Petrucci. Scott Redding is coming, and I'm sure there will soon be a move from Redding. Who will he attack first? Will it be Petrucci? Or can Petrucci do something about Jonathan Rea?
Yeah, brilliant ride this from Scott. Anyway, just to let you know, the Yamaha team for the Suzuka 8-hour, Katsuki Nagasuga, Jack Miller and Andrea Locatelli, who's on screen there, number 55. That's going to take some beating around the Japanese track, you'd say.
Yeah, Vandermark's going to be there as well on a BMW, Lecona on a Honda. We've got Johan Zarco. There's all sorts of big names there, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see Pecco Bagnaia and Nicolo Buliga trying to get involved as well at Suzuka in the next year or two. Toprak has set the fastest lap and a couple of laps to go to extend the lead now to 3.5 seconds over Buliga, but as James has said, Buliga's on possibly the better tyre. Petrucci was lining up Jonathan Rea there, or at least trying to. Redding's got a grandstand view of the whole thing, and he's gone through. Petrucci is up ahead of Jonathan Rea, and that's 4th place.
That seems to be a weak point for Jonathan, doesn't it? Down at the old hairpin. Locatelli's done it twice to him, and now Danilo Petrucci has done it in exactly the same spot. Maybe Danilo was taking a couple of tips of his Italian compatriot on that particular manoeuvre. Here it is, here's the replay. Just go down the left and then it's a bit of a block pass basically. As long as you are at the side of the rider through that corner, you've got the job done, and that's exactly what the number 9 there, Danilo Petrucci, on the Barney Sparks Ducati rider did.
And another retirement out there. It's Ike Lecona this time, James, with a technical problem. He stopped down at the old hairpin, so another rider out of the race in the hot temperatures we have here at Donington. That's 17 remaining, but 7 out already. And look at Redding all over the back of Jonathan Rea. Now, Scotty, what can you do? You were up Knockhill last weekend on a PBM Ducati. Toprak disappears off up the Wheatcross straight. Buliga chasing him under the Prosecco bridge. Then best of the rest is Locatelli. Incidentally, Locatelli will be 4th in the championship if it stays like this, ahead of the non-finishing Alvaro Bautista, who once again has been taken out through an incident that wasn't his fault, although it was encouraged by the fact that he was fighting through from another lowly 10th place on the grid. Now, Scott Redding, what can you do about Jonathan Rea? Is he going to attack into the old hairpin? Yellow flags are out again on the track. Here comes Redding, though, on Jonathan Rea, and he goes through. Another great move here, and that's 5th place. It's Bassani who's down this time, and that's Redgate corner.
Both BMotors out in this opening race, but once again, Axel Bassani has got back on the bike, but it's going to be, the race is kind of over for point scoring for the Italian, and Jonathan Rea, once again, a sitting duck down at the old hairpin.
Well, he scored points down to 15th place, James, and we've only got 16 left in the race now, would you believe? What can Jonathan do? Oh, Scott Redding was on the white line and almost strimming the grass there out of Coppice corner. Garrett Kurloff having a decent run in the background as well there on the green Kawasaki, chasing Michael Vandermark on the second of the Rocket BMWs. There's Buliga, he's second, 4 seconds behind Toprak. Now, what are we going to see? What can Redding do about Petrucci? This is going to be more difficult, of course, because Danilo has, in theory, the same sort of horsepower as Scott Redding. It is a Ducati versus a Ducati.
It's very difficult to stop those V4s into Melbourne Loop. Everybody's on the anchors and looking like they're holding their breath until they can release the brake and then use all the V4 power up the hill towards Goddard's. But at this point in the race, those front tyres will be just starting to get the temperature and degradation in them, that it's making it very, very difficult to stop these bikes, especially down this fast part. Look at that view there. It's absolutely beautiful. The grandstand at the top of the hill. A wonderful, wonderful part of any circuit in the world is Craner Curves.
You can see Toprak there on the right-hand side of your screen as we ride on board with our leader. 4 seconds it is ahead of Buliga. Buliga's just put in his best second sector of the race so far, so we'll keep a very, very close eye on the lap times, although Toprak was about 2.5, 3 tenths quicker than Buliga on the last full lap. You can see the gap there, top left of your screen. There's Gerloff attacking Michael Vandermark, and once again the Dutchman spins up that rear tyre coming out of Coppice corner. Absolutely spectacular through there, but Garrett Gerloff, the American, with a new contract in his pocket with Kawasaki for next season, he's in a perfect opportunity to pass down into the next corner. Ryan Vickers trying to go with them, but Ryan Vickers, I think, as I said before, was caught up in the incident at the first corner. Behind Vickers is Vierge. Behind Vierge is Remy Gardner. It seems as though Gardner will be staying at GRT Yamaha, yet to be confirmed, but the smart man in the paddock says that Gardner will stay there for 2026.
Just looking at the positions from last year as well. Scott Redding had 2 fourths in the Superpole and the second race as well. So he is hunting down a best finish here at Donington Park for the last couple of years, and it's a fabulous ride, you'd have to say, from Scott. He's got the X tyre on, so let's see if he can hang in there for the British ride. And Ryan Vickers is doing the best he can, like you say, to get those positions back after getting collected by the 3 riders at Redgate.
Under the circumstances for Scotty, I thought to qualify 6th at Knockhill and finish 4th in the dry in race 1 last weekend was no mean feat at all, quite frankly, considering he was back in BSB for the first time in 5-6 years.
Not at all. To enter any championship, kind of as it's been established for 2 or 3 rounds that BSB has, it's not an easy gig. Completely different bikes on the electronic side of things, to have no traction control when you've got over 250 brake horsepower between your legs. Around Knockhill as well, which is a mini kind of roller coaster, let's be honest, was a really fantastic effort from Scott.
Van der Mark coming in a big pressure, and Petrucci has a look. Oh, that was going to be close, wasn't it? This is for a podium now, but it could be Scott Redding who gets this, because he's all over the back of the 2 of them. Lequona in, that's his crew chief, Tom Jojic.
Second, put third, and then when I go to shift, it's blocked, and then you got it.
Well, he's explained it, and here it is.
Gearbox problems, it sounds like, as he went from the second, third, then the gear shift would not select the next gear up, and he went straight on there. So good riding from him to get off the track, and he didn't cause any problems for these leaders coming through. Just looking at the lap times, Greg, and Top Rack is still 0.4 of a second quicker than Nicola Bulliger. 12 laps to go. The SC0 tyre might have an advantage toward the end of the race, but the problem that you do have, if you let the rider in front go too far in front, it's too risky to try and catch back up again as Daniel Petrucci goes underneath Locatelli at the old hairpin. Well,
Locatelli overtook Jonathan Ray here twice earlier in the race, but he's been past himself this time. And Scott Redding now in a perfect position, number 45 on the Sky Blue bike, the third of these 3 bikes to attack. He's not going to have a go at McLean's because Locatelli's closed the door. Jonathan Ray just about keeping up with them as well, and by far his best weekend of the season so far there with the Joey Dunlop helmet design. Aegerter as well, flying Yamaha. Certainly seems to have found something so far this weekend.
The comeback kid has got a possible podium on his hands here. I tell you what, riding round Knockhill's done him no harm whatsoever, and that boost of confidence and the British support from the Scottish fans, because they are true motorcycles fans up there, it's given this man a real boost, and it goes up the inside of Andrea Locatelli at the hairpin. Yes, he does. Come on, Scott.
Nice riding as well from Lockett to give him the room there. Gerloff's gone through as well. Garrett Gerloff has passed Michael van der Mark now. He's been following him for quite some time. So the American up to 8th, the Dutchman down to 9th. And as we saw, Redding takes this man, Locatelli, and his next target is Petrucci. And this will be for a podium if Scott Redding can make it. What a weekend we're having for motorcycle racing and British riders so far.
Well, this is it. Down the hill, on board with Petrucci, just looking back at that. Locatelli goes wide, and that leaves the door wide open for the number 45, Scott Redding, to get underneath him at the Melbourne Loop. Classic move here at Donington Park, and he is now staring at a podium. The comeback kid. Well, he was the youngest ever Grand Prix winner, wasn't he, back in the day, all those years ago, Scott Redding, and he absolutely loves this place.
Yes, 2008 it was in the 125cc Grand Prix here. Mike DeMeglio was second, and a certain Marc Marquez picked up his first ever World Championship Grand Prix podium in that race, and they look like babies when you look back now, although Scott was only 15. He was still at school when he won that race, and that record stood for a full decade. Now, are we going to see the 2 Pasamaxus bikes switch positions? Look at the scrapping at the top of the screen as well. That's Gerloff, Van der Mark, Vickers, Gardner and Vierge. They're all locked together for 8th position through to 12th position. There's been a little bit of an investigation, I can tell you, over Van der Mark, but the stewards have taken no further action after he cut the S's, but he's lost the relevant second, so he's okay. You need to lose 1 second if you cut the chicane. Now, there's Petrucci. He's just gained a few bike lengths, hasn't he, there on Redding?
Yeah, he's just getting into a groove. Now he kind of got past the Yamahas. And Donington Park, it's a bit of a waltz. You've got to be really, really smooth and hit every apex, because this corner here at Redgate leads all the way up to McLean's. Because if you miss this corner, you don't get the drive over Hollywood, and then you don't get the correct line down Crane Curves, because you need to clip the line just there before you change direction down this corner, which then has the correct line for this hairpin at the bottom. And then if you don't get that right, it's all uphill from here, from the hairpin all the way to McLean's. And if you just get the first corner wrong, you've got all of this section wrong.
Aegerter, the Swiss rider, former Moto E World Champion, twice a Supersport World Champion, and now Van der Mark is falling into the clutches of Ryan Vickers. You really have to feel for Van der Mark this year. It is just not going his way. Right out onto the curbs there through McLean's. This is the blind approach to Coppice, out of Coppice. Oh, and again he's spinning out, and look at the, is that smoke or just tyre smoke through Vickers' bike?
It's just tyre smoke, and Ryan Vickers' Pirelli is really begging for mercy out of Coppice. And I'm just hearing Sam Lowe's and Alex Lowe's has just gone to the medical centre for checkups, so fingers crossed both of those brothers are okay. And here he comes, Ryan Vickers, for the first time in his World Superbike career, goes into the top 10 briefly of World Superbikes.
Montella also being checked over, we're hearing, in the medical centre with Monica Lazzarotti, and Ryan has another look at Michael van der Mark. Oh, great scrapping. I do feel Ryan could have been further up though had it not been for the drama earlier on at turn 1. Replays coming up at the end of the race with Matt and Shaky. There goes Gerloff, there's van der Mark, Ryan Vickers, 9 BSB wins, one of them was here at Donington. Remy Gardner, they've made some big changes chassis-wise with that Yamaha this year, but they still want more power as they now fly back down through the craners. Something's got to give here. Ryan has another look. Redding still holding that 4th place. Petrucci's 1.2 seconds ahead of Scott Redding. Oh, there you go. Oh, how did they get through?
Well, that was a look from Ryan, wasn't it, under Starkey's bridge. And I'll tell you what, Remy Gardner has took advantage of that, but that was a hard move from the Aussie.
It was, and Xavi Vieja says thank you very much, and Xavi now getting excited and clips the dirt. Andrea Iannone with all sorts of issues, by the way, in the background, in 13th place. He's been off the track twice on Friday. This is Ryan Vickers' Moto Corsa team. His dad was watching on down there as well. Roger Burnett, of course, is his manager, the man who oversaw your career, James, for 2 world titles, and our good mate Neil Hodgson's career for his 2003 World Superbike crown. It's going to be interesting to see what Ryan can do tomorrow as well. And don't forget, they want top 9 positions in that Superpole race tomorrow morning, don't they? And look at this. Locatelli's got past Redding. Scott Redding coming back at him. Locatelli must have gone through at Melbourne. Redding back underneath him at Goddard.
What a battle this is. Yeah, Ryan Vickers, because he hesitated at Starkey's bridge, he lost the momentum all the way up to McLean's, and that's left the door open with Remy Gardner. But it was a hard move. But as you say, Greg, just a few positions in front. Scott Redding now, he's hanging on to this 4th place.
He really is. And Locatelli literally hanging on to the Yamaha as it bucks around underneath him. There goes Buliger in that 2nd place. Petrucci 3rd, and we're side by side again. There goes Locatelli. Oh, he forces Redding a little bit wide. Jonathan Ray is loving this. We've seen some great moves from Jonathan Ray at this part of the track in the past. Are we going to see another one in 2025? And just about keeping up with them with Aegerter. This is McLean's. It's one of those corners where people seem tempted to dive up the inside, but when you get there, you get a bit of a funnel effect, don't you? And the gap just closes up.
Well, it's uphill, and it's a fast entry, and the apex tightens up as you go into McLean's, and then you go over a crest, and it flattens out, and there's not much support for a positive camber on the way out of there. You've got to be really careful on the rear as you tap the throttle, but Locatelli looks like he's just pulling away a little bit from Scott Redding. His Scott's rear tyre starting to let him down a bit.
Well, it was definitely smoking as he came through Coppice Corner. These bikes do have traction control, but they're as spectacular as ever, aren't they, through Coppice? Now, Domi Aegerter, GRT Yamaha. Are you going to attack Jonathan Ray on the Pata Maxis Yamaha? Well, of course he is, given half a chance. There's Redding. Now, what can he do this time?
He needs that, doesn't he, Aegerter, to be in front of Gardner at this stage when his job is under threat, that is for sure. Stefano Manzi's name has been almost etched into that R1 for next season, so this is a pretty good ride from the Swiss rider.
Yeah, it certainly is, and Aegerter obviously missed races, didn't he, last year through injury, and this year as well with that stomach virus. It kept him out of tests and it kept him out of races, and we're puzzled here, aren't we? We're perplexed, we're confused as we look at Iannone with all those issues through practice. Then again, he was up there in the top 5, top 6 at one point here on Friday. Ryan Vickers, too far back there. Even I can know that he's too far back, but Van der Mark, he's just going backwards, isn't he? He's dropping like a stone. Poor Michael van der Mark. Must be so difficult, though, because you're up against this man who's dominating the race, and this is what it does for the championship. Those magic words, if it stays like this. It would be 4 points with 2 more races, another 37 points maximum available here on Sunday. So 7.2 seconds, then 3.5. Back to this man, Petrucci. What a season he's having, James. This is going to be his 7th podium from 13 races if it stays like this.
Factory ride next year, maybe. you'd have to say that he's performed well enough to have his name at least in the mix, in the meetings, to replace Alvaro Bautista. Like you say, he's now 117 points behind Nicola Bulega, but he is kind of, 33 points ahead of Alvaro Bautista if the checkered flag comes out now. He's riding very, very well, is the veteran Italian.
Yeah, although he was sort of talking himself out of the factory Ducati ride last time, wasn't he? Saying he feels that they think he's a little bit too old, and Ducati is saying they might take a risk on a younger and, with respect, a cheaper rider. Then again, James, I guess Patrici could go to Honda, he could go to BMW. They're looking for riders for next year as well.
I think he likes this V4 though, doesn't he? You can tell that he's riding very, very well. All the satellite Ducatis are very strong, as you see with Ryan, because Iannone, he's on a bit of a mystery, isn't he? He had a couple of crashes in Misano, and something's just amiss now in that Go 11 team for Andrea Iannone. We're not sure why he is, 1 second off the pace every single lap on that Ducati, but we'll have an interview with him on the grid at some point, I'm sure, to find out.
Well, certainly Jonathan Ray's been linked with the Go 11 ride, and so is Alvaro Bautista. Look at that rear tyre spinning up again there from number 45, Scott Redding. He's lost some momentum now out of Coppice, but that's the difference between the Ducati and the Yamaha down the Starkey Straight through the S's. Now, Jonathan, what can you do? Jonathan Ray, OBE, of course. What can you do? Down into the Melbourne Loop. Nothing this time. Can Gerloff catch this group as well? Because Garrett Gerloff, yes, he's lapping 0.2 of a second quicker at the moment, and I think there's enough time left, but the trouble is, you can get up onto the back of Agata, but attacking is another matter.
Important ride this for Locatelli as well. Is going to be only 2 points behind Alvaro Bautista in 4th for the championship. I know there's a long way to go, but every point counts at this level. Beautiful drone shots coming into the first corner here as you exit Redgate, go over this wonderful Hollywood section into, and you plummet down Craner curves. The rear tyre is really struggling on the back of Scott Redding's Ducati.
Yeah, we had 50,000 spectators here watching the Donington Grand Prix. As long ago as 1937, it was Mercedes and Auto Union fighting on that occasion, but now it's Ducati and Yamaha. Let's see what Ray can do. Does he dive up the inside into the next corner at McLean's? It's certainly possible. No, he thinks better of it. Redding is riding well here to keep the 6-time world champion behind him. But of course, they know each other well. They fought so hard in the past in the 2020 and 21 seasons. At that time, of course, Scott was on the factory Ducati, Jonathan was on the factory Kawasaki.
Here he comes again, but I don't think the Yamaha's got enough pace down that straight to get level with, or get close enough to Scott to challenge him into Foggy's S's. The best place for Jonathan was into McLean's. He was very, very fast around Swans just then, but every other place, Scott's just got a bit more horsepower advantage in between the corners.
And it's not the easiest place to pass, is it? We've seen this at Donington over recent years, and we were talking about this off air this morning, weren't we? The field spread effect, the concertina effect you get of these hairpins in particular, James, when obviously whoever's in front of you has to get on the throttle first, and if you've got a good exit, as Redding has here, it's almost impossible to look. Jonathan can't get anywhere near him at the other end of the straight.
Yeah, and this is a left-hander as well. The final corner, the replay, as you can see, Jonathan closes right up onto the wheel as Scott just has a bit of chatter on that bump mid-corner. So he's got to be careful with that, not to tap the throttle too early, because that chatter will then just kick the rear out, as well as we've seen so many times here at Donington Park. But Jonathan Ray still behind Scott. If Scott stays in front of Jonathan at the checkered flag, he would have ridden very, very well, because that rear tyre is really struggling. Scott's got a track limits warning as well now.
And as you can see, that is on
Jonathan,
his dashboard in front of him. No, it is Scott.
Yeah.
It is Scott, and that's on the dashboard in front as well. Is that off-putting when he's like that? You just got to get on with it. Then again, I guess you didn't have dashboard warnings, did you, like that when you were racing? It's something that's just been introduced in more recent years.
I think as a rider you'd know when you've done it, so you're expecting it, so it's maybe not as a shock. And obviously you can't consistently do it, especially on the last lap. You've got to be careful. And Jonathan Ray right on the back wheel of the V4 now, but as we've seen, the punch out of Foggy's S's up to Melbourne Loop just doesn't give Jonathan an opportunity to get up the inside unless Scott makes a bit of a mistake, which he did, but there was no room at the inn.
Oh, Jonathan, well done there to not run into the back of that Ducati. There wasn't really where Jonathan could go, was he? He did a phenomenal job to avoid there the right flank of Scott Redding. We are into lap 21 now with just 3 to go here at Donington Park. You can see Iannone there on the back of Vickers. in the background. Van der Vaart now with his struggles has fallen to 13th place. Michael Ruben Rinaldi is 14th for Moto X, ahead of his teammate Bahatin Sofoglu. Ivo Lopez, the Portuguese rider, look at Redding's tyres smoking again. Lopez is 16th and Bassani is still running, actually. He's rejoined from that crash. So 17 running, 7 are out, 2.5 laps to go.
Scott Redding is absolutely sideways all the way around Hollywood and Craner, and you can see how tentative he is when he turns it in to these right-hand corners. Because of the dedication on the right-hand side, he has to be really careful as he turns it into Scopis as well. Look how ginger he is. He'll be really frustrated on how slow he's going to have to ride because of that. And here comes Jonathan now. Is that close enough? No, he's not. As Jonathan takes a tear off, the Ducati pulls away once again on the back straight.
Can Agata do anything now? And here's the American just behind Garrett Gerloff closing in. Agata, the third of these 3 blue bikes, did the double here en route to the title in World Supersport 3 years ago. Very distinctive braking style with the way his head bops up. Tommy Agata, very much like we used to see with Michel Fabrizio back in the day. Further back in the pack, Iannoni's past Vickers, and he's up into 11th place. Toprak, I can tell you now, he's out of Redgate and heading down the Craners on the penultimate lap. Reading. So 2 laps to go, position 5 plus 0, because number 65 is right behind you, as if Scotty didn't know already.
Dress rehearsal time, and as you can see, his engineers on the pit wall giving him every bit of encouragement that he needs, because when you're this sideways down Craner curves, you've got to keep your focus. But Jonathan's lining him up here into the old hairpin. Is he going to get the drive in between this corner? No, he's not. We know Jonathan has a weak point at this track, so that... Oh, how close was he at the back wheel of the Ducati there?
Well, Jonathan Rea, patience personified in this race, but you've got to say, brilliant defensive riding for Redding, doing what he has to do, just using all of the torque of that Ducati, but he does not have the rear grip. Great riding by both of them. This is a chance, not this time. Jonathan doesn't want to do what he did here on the Kawasaki a few years ago. Now look, he's in the tow. He could not be any closer to him. He pulls up alongside this time on the run down to the S's, but he's on the wrong side. Can he brake later? No, he can't, but Gerloff definitely closing in on this trio.
Scott, I'll tell you what, Jonathan's going to have to be very careful, because Jonathan's trying to get the run on the exit of corners to get the run down the straights. And if you're not careful, Scott Redding goes wide, and that's left the door open, side by side, out of Melbourne Loop. Is he going to be 3 abreast into Goddard's? And Jonathan finally gets the better of Scott.
Oh, well done, Jonathan. Patience is a virtue, and finally then, it's paid off. Perseverance there, and he's through. Toprak has started the final lap of this race. Buliger is second, Petrucci is third, then it's Locatelli, and this is your fight for 5th. It's not over yet. Jonathan Rea now goes defensive into Redgate corner. What can Redding do? There's Agata with the yellow crash helmet, and behind him the Kawasaki is there now. That's Garrett Gerloff.
Yeah, I don't think Scott's going to have the tyre to have another launch at Jonathan Rea. As you see around this old hairpin here, Jonathan is much quicker on the exit. Yes, look, you can see how wide Scott's going, and you can see how much it's just wagging its tail, wheel spinning all the way around here. And Garrett Gerloff on the Kawasaki, he's come to the party.
Do you think Redding can do anything out of Coppice down towards the S's, or is it going to be too difficult now?
I don't think he's got the grip on the right-hand side through there. Here we go, let's see. You can see how tentative he is, and it's going to be absolutely sideways out of here. No, he's not. Donny Agata could have a chance into Foggies now.
Yeah, that tyre's completely gone, hasn't it, for Scott Redding? And like you say, Agata will now try and attack in the background. That's Vierge and Iannoni locked together as well. Ivo Lopez has now stopped on track with a problem, so another retirement here today. There's Gerloff, but in the meantime, out of Goddard's corner, his first victory here this weekend. It may not be the last. That's his 10th at Donington for Toprak Razgatlioglu. Buliger maintains the championship lead, but now it's down to 4 points.
Wonderful, a record here at Donington Park. 10 victories for Toprak Razgatlioglu, and Petrucci once again on the podium. And Scott Redding will be frustrated at that, but it was a fabulous, fabulous ride as he waves to the crowd.
Yeah, and a fabulous ride from the 2 Yamaha riders as well. Andrea Locatelli in 4th position. Jonathan Rea was 5th, and that is extremely encouraging for the rest of this weekend, and hopefully for the rest of the season. There then is Toprak. He wins again this year for the 10th time. So, 10th win at Donington and 10th win of the season. And like we say, the first time anybody's won 10 races here. Jonathan, though, has had a few of his own on this circuit. There's no doubt about that. 6 victories for Jonathan in the previous years with Honda and with Kawasaki. And the police have arrived on the scene for Toprak Razgatlioglu. What sort of celebration does he have here? This is so suitable and so apt because Valentino Rossi's first MotoGP win was here in 2000, the master of the post-race ceremony. And what's Toprak got in store for us here? On go the handcuffs. The bars are in position. And there's Scott Redding as well. He stopped on the grass down the Cranes. He's just been up towards the crowd there. Lovely to see. Bahatin Sofoglu now stops alongside Toprak. I'm not sure that was supposed to happen. That backfired quite spectacularly. Hopefully we can get a replay of that one. Oh dear. There's Ryan Vickers. 12th place then for Ryan, and he takes the Vickers flag with the Vickers fan club here this weekend, and I reckon we're going to be seeing an even better result for him tomorrow. He's looking so comfortable here at Donington this weekend. But what a race that was. You can see the movers there from the grid. Look, the top 2 finishing where they started. But look, Petrucci up 6, Redding up 11, Vierge up 8. And of course, some of this is to do with overtaking and great rides, and some of it is to do with the chaos we saw at the first corner. Toprak, though, only 4 points behind Buliga now. Montella, Sam Lowe's, Bautista, Alex Lowe's, Rabat, Bridewell, Lecuona, Lopez. 8 riders failed to finish that race, and that is a lovely gesture there. Borja Gomez being recognised. The 20-year-old Spaniard. Oh my goodness, that's Toprak having a big moment on the final lap of the race there. He's got away with it. That was the Melbourne Loop on the final lap. And across the line he comes to win by 6.5 seconds. To now fly the flag for Borja Gomez, the HRC test rider and former Spanish champion who had a terribly tragic accident on Thursday of last week in a test at Manicourt in France, just before the junior GP race weekend there. All of our thoughts here in the paddock have been with Borja Gomez coming into this Donington weekend, and many of the bikes are actually carrying special tribute stickers as well to the young Spaniard. That was Nicolo Budiger here. Danilo Petrucci strengthens his lead at the top of the Independent Riders Championship, as well as 3rd in the overall championship. He's now 23 points ahead of, yet again in this race, the non-finishing Alvaro Bautista. As James said, Locatelli now is only 2 behind Bautista for 4th overall.
Right, so that is my cue to end this stream. That was a very exciting race, definitely. Please join us here on the main channel for everything else, as well as over for the Formula E and the Wimbledon later on one of the channels. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.